Hi, this is Mrs. Sebastian, and we're going to look at integers and algebraic expressions unit test. Simplify this expression. Negative 15 divided by 5 times the quantity of negative 6 plus negative 3 squared minus 5 plus 4. So when we look at please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS, it's please excuse my dear from left to right, Aunt Sally from left to right. So I'm going to start with parentheses. So I'm going to rewrite everything right here, negative 15 divided by 5 times, and I'm going to look in my parentheses at what I need to simplify first. So inside my parentheses, I see the negative 3 squared. So that means negative 3 times negative 3. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So it's going to be positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. So now I've got a 9 in place of that negative 3 squared. So I've written it all down again. And we're still working in our parentheses, so I'm going to rewrite this again. And I'm going to go from left to right. So negative 6 plus 9. Negative 6 plus 9 gives me 3. So I'm going to rewrite again. Okay, and 3 minus 5. So you're going to start with $3, take away 5. That means you owe $2 or negative 2. And so now that is just a multiplication. So you can rewrite the parentheses or not. It doesn't matter there. But we are going to do our next step, which is multiply and divide left to right. Well, I see a division here first before we get to the multiply. So because it's left to right, we're going to start with this, negative 15 divided by 5. So negative 15 divided by 5 gives me negative 3, because a negative divided by a positive does give me a negative. And then I bring everything else down. Then I'm going to multiply again. Negative 3 times negative 2. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. 3 times 2 is 6. And bring down the 4. 6 plus 4 gives me 10. What is the solution to negative 49 plus q equals 8? So on this one, we're going to be doing the opposite. So we are going to look at negative 49. It's being added to q. So we're going to subtract negative 49. When I subtract a negative, that's the same as adding a positive, because we are looking at that additive inverse. So negative 49 plus positive 49 gives me 0. And remember, we are trying to create that 0 pair. So that's going away to 0. And we're just left with q equals 8 plus 49. If you need that line in the middle, please draw it. That way you remember to do it on both sides of the equal sign, not just one. So 49 plus 8 does give us 57. What is the additive inverse of 9? Well, the additive inverse is 9 plus what number gives me 0? So what number can I add to 9 to give me 0? Well, that's negative 9. So the additive inverse is just the same number, opposite sign. So this one's positive. Our additive inverse is a negative. What is the solution to z plus 12 equals negative 27? We'll draw that line straight down your equal sign, so that way you remember to do it on both sides of the equal sign. If I've got plus 12, I've got to do the additive inverse to 12. and do the opposite of plus 12, which is minus 12, or plus a negative 12. If I do it on the left side of the equal sign, I've also got to do it on the right. So over here, those form a zero pair, and so you're just left with 0, so z comes down. Negative 27 plus negative 12 is negative 39. So the solution to this one is z equals negative 39. What is the value of negative 4 times the quantity of 18 plus negative 2 squared divided by 11? So we're going to start by rewriting everything except for our first step, which is going to be negative 2 squared. Okay, so negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2. Negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 2 is 4. Now, according to Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS, you still have to combine inside those parentheses first. So I'm going to rewrite the rest. $18 plus 4 gives me 22. So now I've got 4 times 22 divided by 11. Well, I've got to do multiplication first before the division, because you do multiplication and division in order from left to right. So negative 4 times 22 is negative 88 divided by 11. And negative 88 divided by 11 is just negative 8. What is the solution to 8 times x equals 64? Well, we've got 8 times x. We want to undo that. So we do that by doing the opposite. So if 8 is being multiplied, to get rid of it, we divide. Make sure you draw your line through the equal sign so that you remember to do it on both sides. 8 divided by 8 gives you 1, so we're just left with 1x. Negative 64 divided by positive 8 is going to be a negative number. 64 divided by 8 is 8. So the solution to this is x equals negative 8. Which expression can be written as 7 times the quantity of 3 plus 5? Okay, so on your test, they actually give you choices here, but we're going to look at how it can be written. So this 7 times 3 plus 5 can be distributed using that distributive property. And so the 7 can be multiplied by the 3. We keep the sign in the middle right here. And then the 7 is multiplied by the 5. So the 7 gets multiplied by the 3. We keep the sign in the middle. And then 7 gets multiplied by the 5. So what it is that 7 is being handed out to everything inside those parentheses. What is the solution to negative 6 times w equals negative 72? Well, negative 6 is being multiplied by w. So we've got to undo that. First, we're going to draw our line so we remember to do it on both sides of the equal sign. If we're multiplying by negative 6, we're going to divide by negative 6 on both sides. So negative 6 divided by negative 6 leaves me 1, and 1 times w is just w. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. 72 divided by 6 is 12. So the solution to this is w equals 12. What is the property shown by 9 plus 0 equals 9? Well, this one, the 9 sees itself on the other side of the equal sign. So it is the identity because it sees itself. And that is of addition. What is the solution to negative 15 plus z equals negative 22? So I'm going to draw my line. Negative 15 is being added to z. So I'm looking for that additive inverse of negative 15. That's positive 15. You could also say it's being added, so I'm going to subtract a negative 15. So when you subtract a negative, it's plus a positive. Same over here. These add together to get 0, that's 0 pair. And negative 22 plus positive 15 is negative 7. How is the sentence 8 less than x is negative 5? Well, when I think of these, if you have $10 and your sister has 2 less than you, she would have 8 because 2 less than your $10. Okay, so if it's 8 less than that, it's going to be 8 less than what you have, which is x. Is means equal negative 5. So when it's less than, they swap places. And the 8 goes second. 8 less than x equals or is negative 5. What is the solution to 21 divided by y equals 3? So I'm going to rewrite this one down here. And I want to get rid of the y on the bottom. So if it's being divided by y, I'm going to multiply by y because I don't like it on the bottom of this fraction. So over here, y divided by y just leaves me with 1. So 21 equals 3y. Well, now I've got to get that y by itself. So the 3 is being multiplied by y, so I'm going to do the opposite and divide by 3. 21 divided by 3 does give me 7. What property is being shown by 5 plus 7 equals 7 plus 5? Well, when you look at this one, it looks like over the equal sign, it's just flipped over. When you just flip it over, it looks like it's being reflected. So this is the reflective property of, and these are being added, so addition. What is the solution to k plus negative 10 equals 38? So I'm looking for the additive inverse of negative 10. The additive inverse is positive 10. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So negative 10 and positive 10 make 0. So k is left by itself. 38 plus 10 is 48. What symbol would make the number sentence true? The absolute value of negative 17 and 17. So when you take the absolute value of anything, that means how many jumps is it away from 0? So the absolute value of anything is the positive of that number. So if it's negative 17, it's going to be positive 17. If it's positive 432, it'll be positive 432. So on this one, the absolute value of negative 17 is positive 17. So 17 blank 17. Would it be less than, greater than, or equal to? Well, I know that 17 is equal to 17. So we would put an equal sign there to make that true. What is the solution to 6m equals negative 48? Well, 6 is being multiplied by m, so we have to do the opposite and divide by 6. We want to do that on both sides of the equal sign. 6 divided by 6 leaves you with 1, so 1m equals negative divided by a positive is a negative answer. 48 divided by 6 is 8. Q divided by negative 9 equals 6. So I'm going to rewrite this one because it's kind of hard to work right up there with it. So if I'm dividing by a negative 9, I want to get rid of that. So the opposite of divide by negative 9 is to multiply by negative 9. So I'm left with Q equals 6 times negative 9 is negative 54. So the solution to this one is Q equals negative 54. Which set of numbers are ordered correctly from greatest to least? So I look at all these numbers. I've got 0, negative 3, negative absolute value of 4, negative 5, the absolute value of all of it, and 8. So I'm going to write their actual value underneath it, and then we'll get them ordered. So 0 is the same, negative 3 is the same. The absolute value of 4 is 4. Then it attaches this negative right here to it. So that would be negative 4. And then the absolute value of negative 5. Well, negative 5 is 5 spots away from 0. Remember, absolute value is always positive. So that is 5, and that is 8. So we're looking for greatest to least. We need to see one that says 8, the absolute value of negative 5. Then we need 0, then negative 3, and then negative absolute value of 4. So none of these say that, but that's okay because we know that this is it. And I had taken these choices off least to greatest. So don't worry about those. How is the sentence 18 less than y is 9 written as an equation? So 18 less than y is 9. Remember, is equals. And 18 less than y, I know less than is a subtraction. Think of your sister is 2 years less than you. Okay, so you minus 2 gives you your sister. So we're going to make that 18 because it's 18 less than y is 9. So y minus 18 equals 9. Which symbol will make this true? So the absolute value of negative 2, how many spots away from 0 is negative 2? Well, it's 2 spots. Remember, absolute value is always positive. And I've got 2 and negative 2 there. So 2 is greater than negative 2. And that would make it true. So greater than is the answer you would choose. Which property is shown by this? Okay, the 3 got handed to the 4 and got handed to the 5. So this would be the distributive property. Okay, explain the difference in meaning between the absolute value of negative 5 and negative 5. So you need to use the absolute value. So the absolute value of negative 5, okay, would be the distance, and write this in full sentence form, distance from 0 equals 5. Okay, the distance from 0 is 5. Negative 5 is a negative number with a distance of 5, the negative direction. Okay, and then the absolute value of negative 5 would equal 5. So the absolute value is just a distance, whereas the negative 5 is a number. Translate the following sentence into math symbols, then solve it. Y larger than 23 is negative 15. So Y larger than, that means add, 23 is negative 15. So the opposite of adding 23 is subtracting 23. Those form a zero pair. And negative 15 plus negative 23 is negative 38.